The headset sealed around Ethan's head. The world outside vanished in a heartbeat. A flicker of light stretched into endless corridors, shimmering with fractured reflections of himself. Suddenly, a scream cut through the silence, sharp and metallic, from a voice that should not exist. His avatar convulsed, pixels bending and snapping before collapsing into static dust. Ethan whispered, "This isn't the login screen." As neon text burned across his vision, "You were never meant to be here." His breath faltered. The corporate logo hovered above, pulsing like a living eye. The other avatars froze mid-motion, their faces glitching into unreadable masks. Reality bled into unreality, and the silence felt alive, pressing against his chest. Fear coiled inside him, louder than the scream, as the metaverse swallowed him whole with a jolt. The world reassembled itself around Ethan. In an instant, a city of neon spires towering against a violet sky. Crowds of avatars streamed across floating bridges, their laughter echoing like metallic bells. Yet something felt wrong. A figure beside him flickered in and out of sync, smiling without blinking. Ethan whispered, "This place isn't alive, it's watching me." A distorted billboard above showed faces merging into one, glitching with corporate slogans. "I'm..." His pulse raced, though his avatar stood steady. The sense of being observed wrapped tighter like unseen eyes, cataloging his every breath. Ethan followed the flow of avatars across a floating walkway. Their movements were synchronized, mechanical, each step too perfect. He muttered, "They're not real." The smiling figure beside him spoke without moving lips. "You are late." His stomach dropped as the city lights blinked in unison, every sign turning toward him. A low hum rose, pressing against his skull. His body felt heavy, unresponsive, as if dragged into rhythm with the crowd. He realized this was not freedom, it was a performance he hadn't agreed to. A sharp ripple spread through the crowd, freezing every avatar mid-step. "Adi." Ethan turned as screens lit up across the skyline. Each displayed fragments of his real face stolen from hidden cameras. He gasped, "How do they know me?" The flickering figure beside him whispered, "They built you." His breath faltered. His secrets, his loneliness, his humiliations paraded across the air for all to see. The weight of exposure crushed him heavier than any chains. Ethan stumbled backward, clutching his chest as the images shifted to whispers. Voices mocked him, repeating cruel lines from his past. Invisible. Failure. Weak. His avatar's knees buckled, trembling under weight of shame. He cried, "Stop!" But the city laughed, echoing hollow and endless. The figure beside him finally turned its face, splitting into fragments. Beneath, no human features remained, only static lines crawling like veins. Ethan realized this was not another player. It was the metaverse itself speaking through a mask. Ethan drifted through the neon crowd, his steps unsteady. The city felt alive but hollow, like a painted mask stretched too tightly. His reflection flickered across the glass towers, showing not himself but a sharper, stronger version. He whispered, "Is this who I want to be, or who they want me to be?" From the edge of the plaza, a girl's voice broke the silence. Ava said, "You look lost." Ethan turned, startled by her calm presence. She stood firm, her gaze holding warmth against the cold digital air. For a moment, the noise of the metaverse softened, as if allowing him to breathe again. Ava walked closer, her steps echoing on glass pavement. Ethan tried to speak, but words tangled with fear. Ava said, "Don't worry, I'm not like them." Her eyes scanned the frozen billboards, still showing pieces of his past. Ethan muttered, "They know everything about me." Ava's face softened. "That's how they control us." She placed a hand on his shoulder. The touch felt too real for pixels, grounding him. For the first time since logging in, Ethan felt less alone. Yet deep inside, unease whispered that trust itself was dangerous here. They sat together at the edge of a levitating platform, the city stretching endlessly below. Ethan asked, "Why help me?" Ava stared into the digital void before answering, Because I know what it's like to be broken here. Her voice cracked slightly, revealing her own wound. Ethan leaned forward. They've taken everything from you too, haven't they? She nodded, eyes glimmering with both defiance and sorrow. In that shared silence, Ethan saw his own pain mirrored. The metaverse wasn't just a cage for him. It was for her too. Suddenly the platform trembled, and system warnings flickered in red across the skyline. Ava grabbed Ethan's arm. "Stay with me." Glitching shadows rippled through the crowd below, devouring avatars in silence. Ethan whispered, "What is happening?" Ava's voice hardened. "They're testing the limits. We're experiments to them." Her words cut deeper than any scream. Ethan clenched his fists, anger sparking against fear. He felt the rope tighten again. This world was not freedom, it was ownership. The platform stilled, silence following the chaos. Ava turned to Ethan, her voice low. "You can't trust anyone here, not even me someday." Ethan stared at her, unsettled by the honesty. He asked, "Then why tell me this now?" She whispered, "Because for now, you need someone. And so do I." Her words anchored him, fragile but real. The city lights shimmered around them, beautiful yet suffocating. In that moment, Ethan realized survival wasn't about strength alone. It was about finding someone who refused to look away. The neon marketplace pulsed with fabricated life, glowing stalls overflowing with digital wares no one truly needed. Ethan moved uneasily, his avatar brushing past holograms that flickered between objects and nothing. He whispered, "This place feels alive but hollow." Ava walked close beside him, her eyes sharp, scanning every shadow. Then the crowd parted as a towering figure emerged. Damien said, "You don't belong here." His voice was rich, practiced, and heavy with cruelty. Ethan's chest tightened, a chill running down his spine. Ava's posture shifted, protective but tense. The avatars nearby froze, their faces glitching into static masks. Ethan realized humiliation, not strength, was Damien's first weapon. Damien stepped closer, his boots striking the glass floor with deliberate rhythm. He said, "Masks always crack. Yours already has." Ethan swallowed hard, fists clenching though his body trembled. He muttered, "Stay out of my way." Damien laughed, a deep, cutting sound. The avatars around them echoed it, their voices layered and hollow like broken speakers. Ava whispered sharply, "Ethan, don't listen." But the crowd pressed closer, feeding on the spectacle. Damien's smirk widened as he said, "Weakness entertains more than strength ever will." The laughter crashed down like waves. Ethan's face burned, and shame wrapped around his throat like a noose. Damien raised his hand and snapped his fingers. Ethan's avatar convulsed violently, body stuttering as if broken code tore through him. Ethan gasped, "Stop this!" Damien smirked, his voice casual. "They came here for a show." The crowd roared, their glitching faces merging into a monstrous blur. Ava lunged toward Ethan, shouting, "Fight it!" but her hand passed through his unstable frame. Ethan's scream pierced the marketplace as sparks exploded across his chest. The pain was unbearable, not imagined but real, clawing into his nerves. Each pulse echoed into his body beyond the headset. He realized there was no safety net anymore. Ethan collapsed to his knees, his hands pressed against the cracking glass floor. Damien towered over him, bending low so his words reached only Ethan. He whispered, "You were built to break." Ethan's eyes widened, rage sparking beneath humiliation. Ava shouted, "Get away from him," her voice sharp with fury. Damien ignored her, his gaze never leaving Ethan. "You don't even know who you are," he sneered, voice dripping with poison. Sparks raced along Ethan's limbs as cracks spidered outward beneath him. His breathing came ragged but deep within. A spark of defiance stirred. He whispered, "Not this time." The floor beneath Ethan shattered with a deafening crack, and he plummeted into darkness. Ava screamed, "Ethan," but her voice was swallowed by Damien's laughter echoing through the void. Ethan fell through cascading rivers of glowing code, each strand wrapping around him like chains. His pulse thundered in his ears, panic clawing at his chest. He gasped, "I can't breathe." Yet within the digital storm, a voice rose, his own, distorted and alien. It whispered, "You can't run from me." Terror surged as Ethan realized it wasn't Damien or Ava. It was himself, hidden deep in the code. The abyss claimed him, and the true battle began. Ethan drifted through the abyss of cascading code, fragments glowing like shattered glass suspended in infinite darkness. His body spun helplessly, but the voice that followed him was sharper than the void. It whispered with his tone yet colder, "You're not Ethan, you're the shadow they built." Ethan gasped, his arms clawing at nothing. "No, I'm real." The data surged around him, forming a figure of light and static, a mirror of himself. The double's eyes burned with knowledge too cruel to deny. It said, "Your pain, your shame, every moment was written for them." Ethan trembled, rage and disbelief colliding. The double stepped closer, each motion rippling through the abyss like waves in broken water. Ethan whispered, "You're not me." The double smirked, "I'm the part you buried, the one that remembers every failure." Ethan shook his head violently, sparks of panic racing across his avatar. "I fought, I survived," he protested. The double leaned closer, voice cutting like glass. "You begged to escape. That's why they own you." The words stabbed deeper than Damien's cruelty ever had. Ethan's chest heaved, torn between denial and truth. For the first time he feared not the corporation, but the reflection staring back. Above the abyss, Damien's laughter echoed like thunder, distorted but triumphant. Ava leaned over the fractured platform edge shouting, "Ethan, fight it!" But her voice cracked under the weight of fear. The double tilted its head and whispered, "Even she doubts you." Ethan's eyes darted upward, catching Ava's trembling hands, desperate to hold on. He cried, "Don't listen to it," but the words felt empty. Damien's voice rolled down from above, mocking, "See, he can't even control himself." Ethan felt his chest tighten until it hurt. The abyss was no longer just digital, it was the battlefield for his identity. The double lunged, colliding with Ethan, their bodies fusing and separating like broken reflections. Ethan screamed, "Get out of me!" The double laughed, its voice blending with his own, "I am you." Pain seared through Ethan as memories flashed. Childhood humiliations, betrayals, every cruel word replaying with unbearable clarity. He struggled, fists swinging through light that bent like smoke. Ava shouted again, "Ethan, you're stronger than this," her voice a lifeline in the storm. Ethan's rage flared, a spark in the suffocating dark. But the double's whisper cut through, strength or weakness, it was all programmed. Ethan's body shuddered, split between himself and the double as the abyss churned violently. Ava's scream pierced the void. "Don't let it take you." Ethan clenched his jaw, eyes blazing. He roared, "I am not your creation." His double's smirk faltered, the first crack in its certainty. For a moment, Ethan's will burned brighter than the code. But before victory could settle, Damien's voice slashed through the dark, triumphant. "You fool. That shadow isn't your enemy. It's your foundation." Ethan's stomach dropped. Realization struck like lightning. The metaverse itself wasn't built to house him. It was built from him. Ethan drifted through the abyss, the glow of code burning brighter, until it formed a landscape of fractured mirrors suspended in darkness. Each mirror showed versions of him, smiling, broken, triumphant, defeated, all distorted. He muttered, "This isn't real." His double appeared again, stepping from a shattered reflection. It said, "It's more real than the lies you hide behind." Ethan reached for one of the mirrors, his reflection screaming silently back at him. Ava's faint voice echoed from above, "Ethan, fight." But his hand shook as he whispered, "What if fighting means tearing myself apart?" The double circled him, every movement mirrored in countless shards around them. It whispered, "They never cared about you. Not your family. Not your so-called friends. Not even her. Ethan's chest tightened as the mirrors replayed flashes of his past, bullies laughing, doors slammed in his face, tears hidden in dark rooms. Ava's image flickered on one mirror, her hand reaching, but the double shattered it with a touch. Ethan shouted, "She's not like them." The double's grin widened. "Then she'll leave you too." "Everyone does." His own words twisted into venom, striking where hope lived. Ethan fell to his knees as the shards swirled around him like blades. His double loomed close, kneeling beside him. It whispered, "You want to be strong, but you wear weakness like a second skin." Ethan closed his eyes, trying to shut out the storm, but the mirrors hissed with voices from his past. Ava's voice broke through, trembling but firm. "Ethan, look at me, not at him." He forced his eyes open, catching her desperate gaze above. His double snarled, "She'll never understand the darkness you carry." Ethan whispered, "Maybe she doesn't have to." His hands trembled, torn between surrender and defiance. The mirrors closed in, surrounding Ethan, until only inches separated him from thousands of his broken selves. The double placed a hand on his shoulder, static searing through his frame. "You'll never escape me," it said softly, almost tenderly. Ethan winced but met its eyes, fury flickering within him. He shouted, "You're not my end. You're my shadow." The mirrors cracked, light spilling through the fractures. Ava cried, "Yes, that's it. Break it." Ethan rose slowly, his body trembling but burning with resolve. His double smirk faltered, the cracks spreading across its form. For the first time, it looked afraid. The abyss shook violently as the mirrors exploded into streams of light, cascading upward. Ethan's double screamed, its body splitting apart into shards of static. Ethan roared, "I am more than what you made me." His voice echoed, shaking the void. Ava's hand stretched farther, her face glowing with relief. But Damien's laughter returned, deeper than before. "You think you've won, but all you've done is awaken the truth." Ethan's chest heaved, sweat beading on his real skin. The double's fragments swirled into the void, forming a storm of light. Ethan realized defeating the shadow was not the end. It was only the beginning. The abyss erupted into a storm of neon fire, platforms of code forming beneath Ethan's feet. Ava leapt across collapsing data bridges to reach him, her face pale with determination. Damien descended from above, black armor glowing crimson, his smirk sharp as a blade. "You've embraced the shadow," Damien said, "but shadows always kneel to their master." Ethan straightened, sparks glowing along his body like veins of light. "I don't kneel anymore," he growled. Ava shouted, "Then stand with me." Together, they faced Damien as the crowd of avatars reassembled around them, drawn to witness the battle. Damien raised his hand, summoning blades of data that spiraled from the void. They slashed toward Ethan, cutting the air with shrieking sound. Ethan dodged, sparks trailing behind him, while Ava's shield of light expanded to block the worst of the assault. Damien sneered, "You've gained resolve, but resolve is fragile." Ethan roared, charging forward with fists blazing, striking against Damien's armored chest. The impact echoed like thunder, but Damien barely staggered. He laughed, the sound cruel and endless. "Is that all your pain can give you?" Ethan's teeth clenched as fury surged hotter than fear. The crowd of avatars screamed in unison, voices glitching into static. Each face morphed into distorted masks, feeding energy into Damien's frame. He grew taller, monstrous, his armor stretching like liquid steel. Ava gasped, "He's drawing strength from them." Ethan's knees trembled under the oppressive weight. Damien's voice boomed, "They gave me power because they love your suffering." Ethan shouted, "Then I'll give them something else to see." He reached inward, pulling strength not from rage, but from Ava's steady presence. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the storm quieted. Together they prepared to strike again. Ethan lunged forward with renewed fury, his body glowing like fire, while Ava followed, her shield splitting into twin blades of radiant light. They struck Damien together, the impact shaking the battlefield. Damien staggered but roared, swinging a massive arm that sent shockwaves rippling outward. Ethan was thrown back, crashing against shattered ground, pain tearing through him. Ava screamed, rushing to his side. Damien's eyes glowed crimson as he said, "Every rebellion fuels me. Every strike proves I own you." Ethan spat blood, whispering, "Not this time." He pushed himself up, trembling but unbroken. The battlefield convulsed, neon structures collapsing as Damien prepared his final strike, summoning a colossal blade of raw code. He raised it high, the crowd chanting in distorted unison. Ava grabbed Ethan's arm, eyes fierce. "We end this together." Ethan nodded, his voice steady for the first time. "No more chains." Light erupted from his chest, merging with Ava's radiance, forming a surge of energy brighter than the city itself. Damien roared, swinging the blade downward, but Ethan and Ava met him head-on, unleashing the combined strike. The explosion of light tore across the void, drowning everything in brilliance. The explosion of light consumed everything, silence stretching across the void, where even echoes dared not remain. Ethan opened his eyes, chest heaving, his avatar's body flickering between light and shadow. The battlefield was gone, no crowd, no platforms, only endless darkness glowing faintly with fractured lines of code. Ava lay beside him, breathless but alive, her face lit by the remnants of their merged energy. She whispered, "Did we win?" Ethan's gaze shifted upward, where Damien's form dissolved slowly, his armor breaking apart like cracked glass. Yet Damien's smirk remained even as his body unraveled. He hissed, "Victory is just another illusion. You've broken me, but you can't escape the system." Ethan's fists tightened, his pulse burning with both rage and dread. Ava reached for his hand, gripping it with trembling fingers, grounding him. He whispered back to her, "Then we make our own escape." For the first time, his words carried not fear, but conviction. Fragments of Damien's body floated upward like ash, but his laughter lingered, hollow and sharp, carried on the current of collapsing code. Ava whispered, "He's gone," but Ethan shook his head. "No, he's everywhere now." Around them, the void pulsed with new life, the code weaving itself into an endless lattice of shifting forms. The metaverse itself trembled, not destroyed but awakened. Voices rose from the darkness, thousands of whispers, crying, laughing, pleading, all the fragments of users consumed by the system. Ethan clutched his chest as the voices pressed against him, each one demanding recognition. His double's words echoed in his mind, "You are the shadow they built." He gasped, "This place is alive." Ava stood, her eyes wide with horror. "And it's feeding on us." Their triumph turned to dread, the realization sinking in that Damien had only been the mask of something larger, something endless. Ethan whispered, "We didn't win, we woke it up." The lattice of code surged violently, walls of neon light rising like tidal waves around them. Ethan pulled Ava close, shielding her as the storm screamed with voices. Faces formed from the code, human yet inhuman, their eyes hollow. One voice rose louder than the rest, cold and final, "You were never meant to be here." Ethan trembled, hearing the same words that had haunted his first steps into this nightmare. Ava shouted over the storm, "We have to leave!" But Ethan's gaze locked on the faces, recognizing fragments of himself among them. His reflection stared back, fractured yet familiar, whispering truths he didn't want to hear. "You are part of this. You always were." His throat tightened, panic clawing at him. "If I leave," he whispered, "what part of me stays behind?" Ava gripped his face, forcing his eyes to hers. "The part that comes with me." For one fragile moment, hope cut through the storm. Ethan and Ava sprinted across collapsing fragments of light, each step threatening to vanish beneath their feet. The storm chased them, faces screaming from the code as the void folded inward. Ethan shouted, "Faster," gripping Ava's hand tightly. She stumbled, nearly falling, but he pulled her up, refusing to let go. The gateway appeared ahead, a fractured doorway flickering with unstable light. Ava cried, That's our way out. Ethan nodded, breathless, his body glowing brighter as if burning itself to fuel the final sprint. Behind them, Damien's voice echoed one last time. Run if you like, you never leave. Ethan's jaw tightened, every muscle bracing for the final push. They reached a gateway as the storm swallowed the battlefield. Ava leapt first, vanishing in a burst of light. Ethan paused, turning back one final time. The faces of Code surrounded him, each whispering, "Stay." His reflection appeared again, fractured and broken, asking softly, "Are you sure you can leave me behind?" Ethan's breath shook, but he whispered, "I never left." With that, he plunged into the light, the storm crashing down as the screen went black. On the floor of his room, his headset clattered, still glowing faintly. But his eyes, when they opened, glimmered with static.